Chronometry calibrated. The gateway will open in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Analyzing data. Likelihood of parallel universes now at 25%. Continuing analysis of the many worlds hypothesis.
Life is hard. The world is kind of falling apart. There's a solid appeal to breaking up with your awful boyfriend, getting off the grid, joining a commune, doing a bunch of drugs. I get it. We've all done it. But you should probably check the fine print, be wary of hot Swedes in your area, and avoid the pink lemonade. Welcome, everyone. I'm Gayfesh. Joining me, as always, is the lovely Moss.
Hi, I'm Moss.
And DemonMama.
Hello.
And today we're continuing Ari Aster's filmography with Midsommar. And for listeners at home, we watched the director's cut, which has even more scenes of Christian being just the worst. So
3 hours. I didn't know before I agreed to watch it with friends that's what we were strapping in for. And then I was like, well, if anybody needs to leave early, you can, but I have to watch all of it. So
I'm pretty sure the rest are all 3.
This is the 4th time I've seen this movie. I adore this movie. I love it. It's so messed up in so many ways, but it's such a necessary movie that none of the people who need to see it will ever see unless you make them. So
I'm very interested in why you think that, generally speaking. We'll get into it.
You should probably start us, right, Moss? Because this is your first time.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do with these films. Is kind of like what happens every time. Like I just sent the same message, the screenshot of my previous response to Hereditary again in the group chat. I'm like, once again, what the fuck? I like this movie and how it's filmed. Like, I don't know. I kind of appreciate how some older films like kind of take time to get where they're going. Like something I enjoyed about watching Alien, just on my own recently was like, I was like, yeah, that's kind of nice in a way that this movie takes its time. And so this film falls into that same thing where it really does take its time. Yeah. And it's like not horrifying the whole way through. And so that's what's interesting about like the rising and falling tension is like something weird and gross will happen, but then you do kind of end up in another scene where you're like, oh yeah, this is just the kind of relaxed commune thing. But also those 2 missing people, what's up with that? You know, like it's kind of weird. In that way, it feels like atypical for horror in that way where it doesn't kind of keep you confronted with that throughout the whole film. Yeah.
And I think that's deliberate because part of what this movie is doing, and this is a danger for people watching this movie who don't have media literacy, is that the movie is kind of indoctrinating you into the cult. That like it shows you these horrible things, but then it goes and shows, oh, look at how loving and compassionate these people are to each other. Oh, she's like, you know, sobbing because she just saw her boyfriend cheating on her. Look at all of these women rushing up to her and feeling her pain as their own, you know, as they let her go and see that and then quickly rush in and move her someplace where she can't be alone with her thoughts and immediately take it on and present themselves as the alternative to it. So like I was watching it with a friend who was just kind of just like, you know, I know it's a horrible like eugenicist cult, but I would totally fall for it.
One of the people I was watching with also said something like that. And I was just like, okay, I got to do the run. we gotta dig in a little deeper. Yeah, no, I love this movie, and yeah, it isn't a movie that like, okay, so I've seen it a million times now, and like now I feel like I'm like, okay, actually this movie is very aggressive with its themes, but you mentioned that it doesn't like it lets you bask in the ambiance a lot, and that's something I really enjoy about this movie as well. I think it's a like kind of an Ari Aster thing is that I'm getting the feeling of that there's a slow winding. You get the feeling you're trapped like about halfway through the movie and you're like, oh, there's no getting out of this. And like, I really like that too. In fact, I think the movie is like at its weakest when it's just like barreling you with horrifying imagery. And it's at its best when it's like, you're disoriented and then something horrifying happens and then it's like, but still, I think it's really good at that. Yeah, so like, oh God, I don't even know where to begin with this because there's so much to talk about. Like, I feel like we should maybe just get Christian out of the way.
Can I just say, my partner, I was watching this movie with some friends online, and my partner walked in during the part where Christian is like stumbling around naked and like stumbles into where the other guy is with the flowers on his eyes. And I was reminded of like that meme that's like, you know, when you're watching an anime by yourself and it's all action scenes and then your mom walks in and it's some weird panties shot or something. And it's like, I promise it hasn't been like this the whole time. I don't know what's happening here now either.
It kind of has. It kind of has. There's much worse scenes, to be fair, that you could walk in on.
There's really only one scene with like a big floppy dick, though. Like we do have to specify that it's not the whole movie.
There's two.
What's the other one?
The other one is in the shrine where the person is wearing the skinned dick. Remember they go into the Josh goes into the shrine.
Oh, when it was Mark.
And he's taking the pictures, and then it's Mark's skin, and his dick is like his skin.
Okay, but like Mark is well, and it's not even Mark. It's a guy wearing Mark's skin.
It's a guy wearing his skin.
But I guess I just thought it was a person's dick. I didn't think it was like the skin of his dead dick. I don't know. Now we're getting into weird territory.
Yeah, well.
Thanks, Ari Aster.
It's a fun family movie. It's just good for all ages.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is crazy to me. Like, I gotta shout out to Ari Aster for having the courage to have like full frontal pussy and dick, like horrific depiction of like Epstein Island tier evil pedo rituals. Like all of this is just like, we are not going to shy away. Like, this is a horror movie, be horrified. And I appreciate that it like leans in and doesn't do like this thing that you see so many horror movies where everything is like said and told in hushed tones, even though it's fucking fiction. So it's not like you're like watching footage of a genocide or something like that. Obviously that would be horrible, but it's like, there's a lot of movies that like, they're ostensibly horror or they're attempting to deal with serious themes, but they have this almost like childishness in the way that they're like, they won't talk about things head on or they won't depict things head on. Like, they just make you kind of like hear about it and off screen and stuff like that. Yeah.
Florence Pugh, I don't know what it is that she did with her face muscles to get that to pull that off, but she has the face of somebody who has been dealing with intense trauma for a long time, that she just has this like resting frown on her face. Your face just can't naturally do that without scrunching up and scowling. That she was able to do that. That's like, she must have been working at that for a while before they started filming, because in order to stretch your face to get it to just naturally rest like that. Like, that is the face of somebody who's just dealt with so much trauma that just like when I was a kid and I was going through a really rough time, sometimes when I was just hanging out, not even doing anything, nothing was wrong, people would ask me what's wrong, because my face just did that after a certain point. So yeah, she pulled that off really well.
I think that these two movies share that feature of like, it is a female lead whose performance like carries the movie in a way. And it's like we were discussing that with the previous movie and how she was making these faces that were just genuinely so horrifying and upsetting. And like, that was similar in this as well with Florence, is like, yeah, just like the fact that the focus is on her, it's her perspective the whole movie. And like, frankly, it is like the ultimate scene that her face transforms from that visage that we've seen the whole movie into the creepy smile that became like the famous image. That was the only thing that I knew about Midsommar before we watched it, was like this creepy smile of a lady covered in flowers. Yeah. So yeah, I like that it relies so heavily on their performances and really like lets them shine in that way.
I do think she's like, her face acting is phenomenal, and yeah, she carries the movie. I agree.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does anybody feel like the vaping was comedy relief?
Oh my God, I love
Mark's entire
that
character is comedy relief, and I'm glad you brought it up because
sound. Like, they got the sound exactly, and I was just, every single time it took me out.
And he's so real.
I love him so much. He is so stupid. He's like, I was like literally talking. I'm like, I wish that Danny had to break up with Mark instead of Christian, because at least like Mark wouldn't be a gaslighting piece of shit. He'd just be like too stupid to realize he was neglecting his girlfriend. Like, what?
Christian is evil.
I assume all of these people are Anthro grad students. What the fuck? How who is Mark's dad? Like, that's the only way he got into this program is he's a legacy admission. Like, this guy doesn't understand.
Maybe he's the like one business major that's like like hangs out with them. You know what I mean, or something.
Yeah.
I love that character. Also, I will say, like, shout out to Jack Rayner who plays Christian. Like, he also does a phenomenal job as his role, especially in the section where he's having the bad trip, which is like his depiction of like someone trying like completely fucked up out of their mind and trying to keep it cool and totally failing and not being aware that they're totally failing or being slightly aware. It's perfect. It's like, oh my God. It also leads to one of the funniest shots like ever put to film, which is the old man clapping his hands in front of his face and then him being like, why'd you do that? So funny. Oh my God. Like that scene always makes me laugh out loud. It's so mean and it's so hilarious. And like, honestly, I'll just take this moment too to shout out generally the like depiction of psychedelia in this film is the single best I've ever seen put to film.
Like,
it's the most
I have to warn people not to watch this movie the first time on anything because you'll miss it because you'll think you're just tripping. No, that's the movie.
It's so subtle.
It's well, it comes and goes. It like literally mimics the peaks and valleys of like of a psychedelic trip, and the part that stands out like the most to me as like the most memorable of this, or I guess there's two that are in very close proximity, which is the nasty meat on the table, like breathing. It looks like it's like still alive and throbbing, and it's just like, well, oh, like what the hell? And then like after that, she's like like when she's going to the I think it's when she's getting brought over to the like little carriage or whatever, and there's like this sea of people like passing her. It's right near that I can't remember the exact progression, but there's like a sea of faces coming at her, and they all look just a little fucked up, and you can't tell if it's because she's still tripped, like she's in a peak, or if it's because like inbred Swedish people just look like that. It's so scary, and like they're all smiling, but it starts to take on this like demon-like visage.
Yeah, there was at least one notable smile that I was like, that was too big, and it might have even been her own face. And I was like, oh, the drugs. Like, so it's little stuff like that. I'm sure some of it was creatively directed where it's like, okay, this particular thing or whatever. But a lot of that I'm sure was also the creative license to just be like, little things in this scene are going to look weird. Like the flower, like pulsating on her head.
I love the winking flowers. That's a great little thing. They had to go in. They like, I think like for the drug sequences, they did like so many different passes. They're like, okay, here we're doing it heavy, here we're doing it light. They're like, it was a massive fine tuning process to find, okay, here's the sweet spot where it's not too much and it's not too little. It's a little subtle, and it's not subtle when it needs to be the focus. And, you know, like when you see the blood angel with the lungs outside the body and those are breathing, even though that's a corpse. Those lungs aren't breathing. That's drugs.
Okay, I was unclear on that because I was like, oh, he's breathing. Like, I don't know. Couldn't tell. Yeah, okay.
Those were drugs.
Got it.
I mean, so you assume, like, that's the thing. Like, that's why it works. And, like, that's one of the moments where...
The fact that you cannot know is part of why it's so freaky. Yeah.
You go, that's probably the fact that Christian is, like, out of his mind at the moment. But also, like, they do that intentionally because, you know, like you said at the very beginning, Gayfesh, like, it's like this idea that, like, you're getting inducted as well. You get to the point where you don't trust your own eyes anymore. And so... what is shown to you, you have to just kind of take at face value. And then there's something else happening. That's the thing that I think makes this movie so phenomenal is its depiction of and, discourse on cults and cult recruitment and specifically like weird white supremacist Nazi cults. Yeah, it's really wild. And it's funny to me because I feel like a lot of people walk away from this movie and go like, well, they're not a Nazi cult, are they? And it's
They
like
killed all
no,
of the brown people.
They kill all the brown people.
They
Yes,
they
bring
killed
in
them
outsiders to breed so that they don't get too inbred. But you'll notice they're all still white.
Yeah, they're hand chosen to be like down to the point where it's literally like the point that got me like, and I don't remember if this was in the original cut or not. I feel like it wasn't because I don't remember this line, but it's like there's this part where Mark goes like, "Oh my God, the women here are so hot." And then someone, I think it's like Josh says, "Yeah, well, you know, the Vikings, they went out and they just killed
Stole
everyone
the
and
most
took
beautiful
the
women,
the most beautiful women that the most beautiful women." And it's like, and it's like, oh, that's literally what's happening right here.
Now.
Like in this right now in the movie as they're driving there, that's literally what's happening. Like Pele is like, he's so predatory and it's so
I gotta
scary.
say,
And
if Pele picked me to get into a cult, I'd fucking fall for it. He's too beautiful. What an incredibly hot man. He would do it. I would be an idiot.
Yeah.
and like you see why it works, but also like the like level of targeting that he does of like in the beginning immediately going for the trauma and the loneliness and like and exploiting it. And the more times I watch this movie, the more things I catch about like how manipulative every single aspect of this movie is towards Florence Pugh's character, Danny. Yep. The movie is like obviously very obsessed with like social pressure. You have the whole like way that Christian operates. Like it is the opposite. It's the inverse of like the cult, which is that like he is so like empty and so like doesn't have anything to stand on and so avoidant that he like pushes off all social and emotional responsibility onto others. Whereas by comparison, the cult is like, no, we will tell you what is right. We will give you this track. Every moment of your life will be defined for you, and you don't have to think about anything. The most blunt line being like Pele being like, "Oh, my parents died in a house fire." But then being like, "Oh, but I didn't need to," or what's he say? He says like, he's like,
I never felt the loss and loneliness because I had the family.
Yeah, I never had the chance to go through that loss and loneliness because I had a family, and everyone should have that. And it's like, no, they like, yeah, that's the thing. In this society, it like the way that they pull people in is when this like constant chain of intensity, of emotional and social intensity.
Well, and did you notice there was a scene where there's a woman holding a baby and like explaining to Danny that like, oh yeah, the mother is off abroad, and we're taking care of the baby, which is like, that's a common cult tactic, is to separate mothers from their children, have the children raised communally to avoid the mother-child bond that could be stronger than the bond that the mother has with the cult.
Which is why Pele was lying.
Yeah.
Like about having parents who died in a fire. Like maybe the people who created him did die in a fire, but for him to be emotionally impacted by that was a lie.
He calls everyone his brother and sister. Like he doesn't have like, we don't know if they're like, I'm sure
I
they're all
assume they were
related,
blood related,
but that doesn't mean they have the same parents.
Yeah.
Like, cause he, I think he's telling the truth about them dying in a fire. And I think he's also telling the truth that he didn't have the time to feel like, or didn't have the chance to feel like lost or sad about it. Like, I do think he's telling the truth because I think they were sacrifices in the last house that burnt down.
But he did make it seem, he was telling her, so he was the very first scene where they sit together alone and he triggers her by bringing up her losses.
Yeah.
He is suggesting by telling her that his parents died, that he is understanding of what she's going through.
But he's not. It's like, it is so manipulative. Yeah.
I should also point out that while they do, have a Midsommar festival every year, they said that this particular one was every 90 years. So I don't necessarily think that
everything seemed very rehearsed for it to be only 90 years.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure a lot of the things were, but I think like the human sacrifice itself, I think that was the big thing every 90 years.
Sure.
Obviously, they're doing the regular human sacrifice once you turn 72, but I'm talking about like the 9 people that needed in the to purge themselves of sin.
It's one of those things, though, where you cannot trust anything that's said at any point because they literally lie all the time about who's where and somebody stole our book. No one stole the freaking book, and everything. And it's like.
Like, was that even a sacred tree, or was the guy just mad because he saw Mark pissing? No,
Yeah,
it was a sacred tree.
I assume it was a sacred tree. I do think that like they use that as like a justification to kill him at that
Everyone
point. Like,
they kill, there's like, you can see a justification for it. Josh broke the rules and took photographs of their sacred text that they told him he couldn't. Mark pissed on the sacred tree. The two people from London that came with the other one that freaked out over the whatever it was called, the ritual suicide thing.
Ashtupar.
Whatever it was called. They disrespected one of their sacred rites. Yeah, so like every single one of them, you're like, okay, I can see from their logic, okay, they have now done something to transgress to merit being killed.
Well, yeah, it's like it's key to the social structure of a cult like this, that there has to be. I mean, it's there is implicit danger on all sides. You're here by choice, quote unquote, which we obviously know is not actually true. But there's a justification for everything, for every single thing that happens. And whether it's just tradition, and the end result is, don't question any of it. Just go along with the way that it's going. And like that's kind of the, that's very central to the, I guess, the movie's like pointed critique of this like hyper traditionalist structure, and also like the function of a cult, of like invoking this tradition and also creating this thing. It's like, oh, well, if you see as a member of the cult that like pissing on the tree, well, maybe, part of your brain goes, well, he did piss on the tree, but another part of your brain goes, yeah, but what are they going to kill me for? I better do everything I can to stay in line and, respect, quote unquote. On that thing, I love how this movie just like throws the whole like, it's so funny because it's like Christian who's like, well, it's their customs or whatever at that one point. No, it was really messed up. It was really, really, what's he say? That one line.
It's like, yeah, that was really shocking. I know. And Christian, like, pulling the anthropology brain on his girlfriend instead of, like, trying to actually be there for her in a time where she's very clearly not doing well. Like, and also Josh knew what they were going into and didn't warn any of them. He, like, you could see him grinning, knowing that Christian didn't know. But it's like, okay, dude, but you're going to a ritual suicide and you're not warning anybody that that's what they're about to see, and you knew, like, fuck you. Yeah. So Josh is also a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, he totally is. Like Danny calls them all like opportunistic anthropology students, which is just a total headshot. Like she nails it. Yeah, and like you see her like see through at certain points, but that's the whole thing. Like she's in too far. There is no way back out. And so it's like, because of the social pressures, because of the fact that she has nothing to go back for, even though she can see through the structure of the cult at certain points, it doesn't even matter. Like she's too far gone at that point. Yeah, it's horrifying. I do love that like the movie kind of takes on this, like it brings up and like throws in your face through one of the like the stupid asshole manipulative character, like this like specific type of cultural relativity argument that like doesn't really go anywhere, where it's like, oh, that's just their custom. They probably think it's fucked up that we put people in nursing homes. It's like, well, yeah, it is fucked up to just stuff people in nursing homes, but it's also fucked up to make them jump off a cliff onto a rock and then hit their head in like 6 times with a giant hammer.
His head was already smashed in. Like those last ones, it's like, what are you even doing? This is just like,
it's pure ritual at that point. Yeah. Like, are those his descendants?
Good
like
head trauma in that sequence. Like, they had some solid smashed in heads.
Crunchiness.
Mm-hmm.
Why he jumped down leg first?
He hadn't practiced.
True. Yeah.
He's 72 years old. He probably couldn't jump. He was probably like,
just tip forward off the edge of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, the lady had the right idea. Like
she did it. Yeah.
You got to commit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Install a diving board.
In the real world timeline. Do a flip. I broke my ankle recently and it has sucked. And I will say, like, I had as his ankle hit the ground and his leg shattered hit that rock, I was just like, it was like right back to my own breaking of my ankle. It is so like, oh God. Yeah. So I guess one thing I thought I would pitch to everyone talk about is just like So like the proto-Nazi white supremacist angle that like gets missed by a lot of people. I think some of it is just because obviously there's like a general lack of familiarity with certain symbols, which is like, I think they try to get you to think about that a little more with the book in the beginning when they're in the car and there's like the Nazi book, the Nazi Futhark or whatever, or something like that. And it has that really iconic, the swastika on the front. It's trying to tell you like, oh, well, like there might be symbols you're not familiar with. You are familiar with this one. And then, Pele kind of hand waves it. Oh, he does it to piss me off. But like the first place they sit in a table that's in the shape of like the Odal rune, which is like another really common Nazi white supremacist rune that's used as like a code. And that's not saying that they're like Nazis. They're like proto-Nazis. They are like, this is the traditions that like the weird like Nazi obsession with like Norse mythology and whatnot comes from, like these types of things. But it is interesting that like, I can't really blame people for not knowing like certain ones like that if you're not super familiar with it, but it's I think it's good on the part of the movie, the way that it's like, hey, there might be more to this that you don't know. You're seeing all these symbols all over the place and going, oh, cool symbol. Whoa, so aesthetic. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, that has meaning. I do like
seeing art on the walls. That's nice. We should be doing more of that. Just not the Nazi pagan shit,
Yeah, maybe less like depictions of like weird pedophile rituals, like.
Yeah, maybe don't draw a comic about how to, brainwash someone into sleeping with you.
Oh my God. That whole section is like, I feel like that entire section where Christian goes into, what's her name? Inga's house? The matron lady, the elder mother. That whole section where he goes into there, it's the biggest skewering of like anthropology, the history of anthropology, where it's just like, so you mean, well, like, is there any way for me to like, do more on my thesis without fucking a 15-year-old? And she's like, nah. And he's like, well, all right, I guess. Like, he's not like, what are you fucking talking about?
Yeah. I think the part of the thing about this is that there becomes a question of like, is there a real magic? Is like in the last one, like we could interpret Hereditary as being just a pure, like she's off her rocker, imagining shit, whatever. Or like there could be something real happening. And that stuff is taking place after he has done drinking her period blood. So I felt like there was a little bit of an open, like, is he actually the worst person who exists? Or
he was already the worst person who exists. I still read that whole sequence at the end as them raping him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely
He's drunk. He is not in a frame of mind to consent to any of this, and he clearly is walking around dazed like he doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
No, but the fact that, like, he is, I do agree, it's like a gang rape of him, for sure. But also, I do think, like, it doesn't absolve him of prior culpability, which is the fact that, like, he's been willing to look to the other way for all of the other things up to here, including there's a social pressure, an insane social pressure. But, like, that's, like, this is, like, the whole thing where, like, in, like, for example, in specific major Southern churches in the United States, not everyone in that organization is, like, a pedophile, but there are a ton of people who will look the other way. What's that? Enough are, but but there's also just a ton of other people who will look the other way because of the social pressure, or even like participate because of the social pressure. And that type of person can be both a victim and a perpetrator, which I do think that, like, Christian is.
It's like you see those stories of, like, youth pastors who marry 18-year-olds that were in their, youth group for like 4 years. And it's like, okay, and how much of the church was there attending that wedding?
Yes,
and
exactly.
Cheering it on, clap. Yeah, like,
or even just the wind up to that, like encouraging that as the way that things are done. That's like a good way to do things. Oh, look at that. Like, that's how we. Yeah. So there is this whole, like, aspect of it where it's like, no doubt, like, that whole scene is so horrifying, and he's clearly being traumatized by it. But also there's like a certain type of susceptibility that plays into his other actions that I think, like, bears on him as a character, that says, like,
he's not a sympathetic character. He's been awful from the start of the movie. Like there's no ambiguity there. He's a bad person.
Yeah.
Also, to respond to the first thing that Moss said, which you said about the magic, I think that this movie, like unlike Hereditary, definitively says there is no magic. And I think the scene that like kind of summarizes that is at the very end, where they're in the like burning thing, and they're right before they set on fire, and he's like, oh, taste the tree, the yew tree, and feel no pain. Taste the yew tree and feel no fear.
Scream. Yeah.
Yeah, and they both are like horrified and in pain. They're like, their magic is just a bunch of bullshit. But once you realize that it's bullshit, you're literally dying. Like, it's too late.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they have some like herbal tricks they can do, and they can take a bunch of like dumb like white kids from Nebraska or whatever and like load them up with the psychedelics. But yeah, there's not like, it's all social pressure that's operating and like literal brainwashing.
Yeah, there is some, and this is something that a friend of mine pointed out in my last viewing, but there's some really good like background work stuff that you might not notice on your first watch through. But that girl that Mark has been weirdly obsessing over the whole movie, the one who like leads him away, and that's the last time we see Mark alive. Later in the movie, you see her with scratches on her face, and you see like a brief moment where she's like aside from the rest of the group talking to an older woman and crying, where it seems very clear that she was there to kill Mark, and she is not having a good time dealing with what she dealt with. Like, obviously Mark must have fought back. I'm sure she wasn't the only one doing it, but she probably saw at least some of it. Maybe she saw them skinning Mark, maybe not, but she's still clearly not having a good time, and she did not come out of that unscathed. She's got scratches on her face. She's not doing good, but that's something that like you probably wouldn't have picked up on your first viewing. That's you got to watch the background. Yeah. So like, yeah, there is that. There's cracks in the facade that even the cultists themselves that all present themselves outwardly as this unified front who are all in on it. No, there are also people who are dealing with the shit that they're doing.
Yeah, and it's like that's part of the function of the cult is to silence that. You know, it's a fairly well-known public fact that like my childhood, a good chunk of my childhood was spent inside of a cult. And that is like one of the most real things. This idea of like you never crack when it's visible to everyone else. And like there are internal mechanisms to hide and deal with that and reinforce it to pull you back in, down to the things like the mirroring where it's like, no, everybody feels this. It's normal. Mm-hmm. It's so normal to feel that way. That's a normal part of us killing these people. And it's like, but you just got to do it anyway because for the greater good or whatever. And whatever the justification of the cult is, that is like so present in this movie through the whole movie of like all these weird, like the way that the cult like arrests intensity that it doesn't want, intensity that doesn't lead towards the end goal of perpetuating more weird pseudo inbred white people. Also, there's a part where it's when Christian is given the mushroom tea, the big one, quote unquote. And she's like, oh, this will lower your defenses. Like, that's like one of the points where the like movie tells on itself a little, or rather the cult tells on itself within the frame of the movie. But the movie is letting you go like, yeah, you see, they're like keeping you totally non-sober and not thinking clear because it makes you easier to influence because you don't have the time or the mental energy to think through anything.
And I think that like something about the cultish dynamic does remind me of like this thing I keep hearing about fascism. It's some specific person said it and I can't remember, but the quote's basically like, there are laws which bind and protect certain groups of people. So like, you know, the law only applies to brown people. Like white people can break this law all the time, like marijuana laws, for example. So like the law protects white people, but it binds black people in that way. And so this is kind of similar where it's like you are bound by these rules and they do protect members of the in-group. But it's like you are required to adhere to a certain standard of living. And that includes like moral standards. It includes like, you know, respecting traditions that don't necessarily make any sense. So like a lot of traditions that exist for the sake of themselves. And so I kind of see why, like, how this is like sort of broken down into its most bare minimum elements of like sort of displaying, like you were saying, like a proto-fascism or something like that.
Yeah. No, I think you're like spot on. Like, I think there's like numerous aspects in which, I mean, it depicts a type of spiritual hierarchy. Like, you're an elder, which means these rules apply to you and these rules don't. You are accepted from the rules that you impose on everyone else for whatever reason. And there's like, I think one of the points of the movie is to like question those structures. Like, is this system of exception, like, but then it also highlights like how these systems like encourage you to not do that, to not question any aspect of it, to just accept it. And yeah, no, I think you're spot on. Like, and also like to anyone out there who thinks this cult isn't like a proto-fascist, like not even proto-fascist, that's not the right word, proto-Nazi specifically. Because I do think there's like fascistic elements, but I think it's more important that they're like white supremacy is more important. They lay it out for you in the scene between the priest the white priest with white hair dressed in all white, talking to the one black character and telling him how, oh yeah, like the elders control the bloodlines. Like, they make the matches. They choose who's going to breed with who. It is explicitly eugenicist. And
they
then
deliberately breed inbred oracles.
Yeah, inbred oracles who are like albinos and whatnot. And then like if you combine that with other information, like the picture of all of the May Queens, all of them being white, all of them being white with blonde hair, like, yeah, this is a weird like Aryan cult. Like,
there's like two different ways that this calls back to the Oracle of Delphi, which is interesting. I just thought like the inbred oracle thing calls back to Delphi, but then also having like a designated female whom is indoctrinated into the cult at the end of the festival also kind of strikes me a little bit similarly.
Oh my god! Also, like they made the bed, the like oracle's bed being in the corner of the giant.
I have in my notes when Christian is like, is there a way I could observe it without participating? And I just wrote in my notes, hey, is there like a cuck chair? And they're like, yeah, that's for the oracle.
Yeah, sorry, it's occupied.
Oh no.
Oh my god. Oh god.
Yeah. Everything about this movie was weird.
It's a weird movie. It is.
I love it so much. It's so masterful in the way that it like presents everything. And like down to the fact where I'm like, okay, so when this movie came out, I don't know if anyone else was privy to this, but like the like girl boss discourse that occurred around it, like, oh, does she completely have her? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So when this movie came out, there was like, and this is like, in my opinion, this is like, it's like a room of Christians all talking to each other, because like, yeah, it's just like there was this discourse that was like, oh well, like, did she have her girl boss moment at the end because she smiles and like her shitty boyfriend got killed? And I'm like, congratulations in following the arc of the character, but not following through and being a viewer instead of the character in the thing. Like, it's like, yeah, like the cult has successfully convinced her that like she has self-empowered by like purging the toxicity from her life and literally everything else and all of her freedom and all of it. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, quite literally, the bathwater being Christian. But like, yeah, it's not a girl boss moment at all, but within the terms of the film, it is supposed to be like come off as like kind of a girl boss moment where you're like, oh yeah, like she's free of this piece of shit. But it's like, yeah, at what cost? Like
her entire sense of identity.
It's a dangerous movie for people without media literacy.
Yes.
And like, yeah, like, okay, great. She killed her awful boyfriend, but would she have wanted him to die, or would she just wanted to break up with him? Like, it wasn't her choice to kill. They were like, we're going to kill one of these people. You get to choose. Like, why is she in a position where she gets to choose who lives and who dies? Who wants that position? You know, that's not a girl boss moment. That's fucked up.
We don't even see her actually choose. So for all we know, like her looking at him was all that was needed to choose, right? Like, because we never see her say it. She doesn't say like kill Christian. She's just like, zonked out of her mind in the flower pile dress, and then like, oh yeah, and it's like I'm gonna look at him because the other guy I don't even fucking know. Like, who's the hell is Torbjorn?
I mean, he's the guy who gets all of those play of the games where he's just standing around doing nothing because his turrets are getting all the work done.
Yeah, it's just, oh man.
I had a question.
Mhm.
Do you all think that there is any kind of plot or thematic oriented reason for like why her parents died the way that they did, or like any of that prologue in the movie?
I mean, what do when you say like,
I mean, is it just a thing that happened because the plot needed it to happen? Like she needed to be broken down, or like is there something that ties in? I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that ties in, which is why I'm asking.
I mean, I think that like, I guess if you're asking like what function does it serve the narrative and her character, like I think it makes her the ideal victim of a cult. Like this movie is about, you know, how people get targeted and scooped into insanely evil cults. And like, there's your answer. A horrible tragedy is like drops upon her. You know, she has serious like trauma and psychological issues that are completely understandable. She's basically not receiving any social support, but she's starved for social support to the point that she clings on to Christian. And like, but
And
he's
Christian,
a guy
who should have broken up with her a long time ago, is just like, he feels too guilty because she, you know, like, I understand that would be a very difficult breakup to do, but he owes it to her to do that, and he just doesn't fucking do it and lets her wither.
Yeah.
Exactly. He doesn't have the courage to say what's necessary. She needs someone in her life, and she does like him, like clearly. And he doesn't have the courage to tell her like, okay, this isn't working. Like maybe I'll be your friend or whatever. Because that's the defining character of him, is that he's kind of like a personality void. He just like, you know, he won't take anything onto himself. Nothing is ever his. He doesn't own anything for himself. It's always like literally down to the point where he's like, yeah, you guys actually invited her. Okay. Like,
or the fact that he doesn't have a thesis of his own. He's stealing Josh's.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so like, I do think that like her parents, it's a very like horrifying but realistic scenario. It's like, okay, you're like extremely depressed and sick. Sister like kills her whole family, and now you're left alone in the world. And then the rest of it is like, that sets her up to be like somebody who can be targeted in this way, somebody who has nothing left to go home to and can be pressured. And I feel like, yeah, I do feel that it serves a purpose. I don't know that it's like, I don't know. I guess that's what I would say. I do think it serves a narrative purpose for sure. Like I do think it could have been depicted different ways, but I think it works, and it plays in well with like the rest of the imagery of the film, I think I'm
also noticing a similarity here again with Hereditary, where we establish a family history of mental illness, but we don't address whether the protagonist has any kind of mental struggles. Like it's hinted at certainly more in Hereditary, but like it's not touched upon at all in this film, whether she herself struggles.
She's on Ativan, which is an anxiety medication. She does mention that she mentions pretty explicitly at the beginning that she gets paranoid and anxious and stuff. So yeah, no, she has an anxiety disorder.
I missed that in the 3 hours of this.
I understand. It was in the before times, before they crossed the threshold into Narnia. So you know, I actually made a joke that I'm like, hey, this is just an isekai.
Oh no.
But
right, isekai. Yeah. But yeah, no, I do think like, yeah, I think that she has like, I mean, she seems fairly aware of her mental struggles. And again, I think that all of that is very deliberate, because like that is true about a lot of people who get into cults. Like they might have therapists at one point. They might know what's wrong with them, but the cult gets its hooks in. It isolates you, and then either you don't really have much of a choice. In this case, it's taken to the full extreme where they're literally killing people, or it's just so hard to overcome that instead your mind just kind of goes, well, it would be easier to just go along with this. Maybe I can find happiness here. Maybe they are right about, you know, the white supremacy stuff, and like that's the danger, I think. And well, I mean, in addition to the wooden mallets, like that's also a danger, of course. But
I mean, depends on what kind of wood There's some pretty like if that was made out of balsa, I don't think you could kill someone with it.
Huh?
I think it would break.
Maybe.
Balsa's
Maybe
a
with the
very
right
weak
angle.
wood.
Get a big splinter inside your head or something.
All right.
It's like, I don't know. There's so like I love this movie. It is so messed up. It is so twisted. But I love how clear it is in its focus. I love a movie that's like, I've got this whole thing to say and I'm going to just twist the whole thing around and then nail it in at the end. And I just think it works really well. And I think the ending is about as perfect as it can be. Yeah, where it's just ending. Like the smile as like, oh yeah, like I see the purpose. It's like you took like the biggest dose of drugs ever and you have been socially pressured into complete and utter isolation. But sure, I bet you're going to have a great time churning the butter under the deranged ruling of the weird old people until you get to be the deranged old people.
It's not all bad. They get to watch Austin Powers.
That's true.
Yeah. I forgot about that line.
It's so funny. Just isolated out in like this place that hasn't changed for centuries. Like, oh yeah, some of the kids are watching a Mike Myers movie.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I love that.
I'll say a last like positive from me on this was I really liked the like lingering shots that give you plenty of time to see what's going on. Like that they give you plenty of time to see the pink lemonade. Like it might have taken you a couple seconds to notice especially if it was like a scene where we're changing angles a bunch or we're shifting around a bunch, where there's more opportunities for there to be inconsistencies anyway with like who's holding their cup, how much is left in it, blah, blah, blah. But like, no, it's just sat there and you're like, oh no.
Well, everyone else has the yellow lemonade and here's this one. And it's like at the pivot point of the camera for several times, even though it's not like, it's not the focus, it's just kind of there, but it's still, as the camera moves, that pretty much stays in the same spot in frame.
And the uniformity of like all of them in the row. Yeah. And it's, anyway.
Yeah. If you missed that, it's like, you need to like be watching your movies that you're watching.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in a
Put down
lot
the
of
phone.
That's true. The movies right now that are like built for the second screen experience is just like, it's insulting where it'll be like bum 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 and it'll like zoom in on the pink lemonade. It's like, dude, why is your lemonade pink? Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. A lesser
filmmaker would have done that. Figure it out.
It treats you with a certain level of respect. I wouldn't say it's like amazingly subtle, but it's not like. But it is like
Ari Aster is not a subtle filmmaker. Like nothing that he does is subtle. He just doesn't like explicitly put all the pieces together for you. He's just like,
you might have to read for a second.
Yeah.
Which is great. And also on that same scene, there's a shot at the dinner table where it's like Josh. And then that one meme image of all the white guys at the football game where they're all like slightly leaning out. And it's just like, it's literally like they like, it's like they set it up exactly like that, where it's just like Josh is the only black face and then just 20 people who look exactly the same. And you're just like,
because they all have the same dad.
They all have the same dad. Yep. Oh my God. Oh man. She's
going to be a broodmare also.
Oh yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, she is? Oh yeah.
Of course she is.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So she's going to be told who to have sex with for the rest of her life because the elders get to decide. Yeah.
And then maybe she will get to
But they'll
later.
present it as permission.
Yes.
Remember with Maya, it was like, oh yeah, we've given her a license. She gets to breed. It's like she just turned 16. Like she doesn't know
I
what.
thought they said fit. But
I think they said she was turning 16 or something like that. But anyway, like, no. These people don't have free will. They're all drugged out of their mind or indoctrinated into it.
Which again, understandable. I too would like to check out and be a sex slave sometimes.
Maybe not there.
Not there.
Maybe choose a better spot. Yeah, it's like, it is one of those like, also, okay, this is totally inconsequential, but like, just to hammer the point home, you could choose a better place to have sex slavery if you really want to be. Just what the hell the second floor of the barn, there's no railing up there. If you stumble while tucking in your blankets one time, you're gonna have a little like atstupar of yourself right there. Did you see that shit?
Yeah.
I don't even think I remember seeing anyone up there. I think that was just like set dressing. Everybody we saw go
you see
to bed
people
was
up there a couple times.
I'd need to.
None of the main
I'll have to
characters.
rewatch again specifically for the bedroom scenes.
Yeah, it just I was sitting there watching that, and I had that Homer Simpson in the lesbian bar. Wait a minute, something's wrong. There are no fire exits in this place. Enjoy your death trap, ladies. Like, what was her problem? Like
that's such a classic scene. I love that.
Oh,
I recently
scene.
did a Simpsons rewatch. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start from the beginning, and I'm gonna stop once I notice that the decline is done. And once I got to an episode where Homer Simpson befriended Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger just playing themselves, I was like, yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah.
But,
Just hang up the towel on that one.
Just make sure you stop before the Elon Musk episode, because otherwise you'll die of cringe.
I was decades before that came onto the scene. Yeah, no,
Thank God.
I was out by then. Anyway, I think that probably wraps it up, unless we had any other final thoughts.
Any final thoughts?
Pretty much it.
Are we all excited for Beau's Afraid?
I have no idea what to expect. I know less about this movie than I did about Midsommar.
It is okay. As weird as you thought this movie was, like you're gonna long for the normalcy of the pagan sex cult.
I'm gonna make my partner watch this one with me then.
So thank you all so much for joining us. I've been Gayfesh.
I'm Moss.
And I'm DemonMama.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.